Hello, everybody, and welcome to an exciting new episode of Manga Talks. I am Serge, your host, and today we will be looking at a crossover manga done by a legendary author, Hiro Mashima, who some people will know for his works on Fairy Tail, Rave Masters, and Eden Zero. Actually, the order would be Rave Masters, then Fairy Tail, then Eden Zero. He took these three franchises, these three well-known franchises, and he decided to do an interesting crossover called Mashima's Heroes. This crossover feels something sort of similar to what they did in the anime, where he took the characters of Rave Masters and had them meet up with characters of Fairy Tail. But in this franchise, they also bring in Eden Zero, a franchise they would create later on. And I feel like they should animate this. This is another interesting crossover of his franchises that would be interesting. And crossover franchises, I think, are interesting because you get to see different characters interact in ways that you may not see them in their own franchises. Like a good example, in my opinion, would be the franchise Isekai Quartet. Isekai Quartet is a popular anime about where you got all these different franchises from Kadokawa that come together at a school and get all sorts of shenanigans. And you see unique interactions with these characters that are from these different worlds. Anyway, but back to the subject. Yeah. Mashima's Heroes is a crossover manga where you have characters from Rave Masters, Fairy Tail, and Eden Zero all coming together on an island and getting to an interesting adventure. Because the way it goes first, in the beginning, you see characters from Fairy Tail. You see the main characters, Natsu, Lucy, Happy. You see all of them just enjoying their time on the island. And then at some point, Natsu runs into Shiki, where the two of them clash. And they clash for a little bit until Rebecca comes to help clear up the situation. And then they stop, and then they just start talking and getting along. But while that's going on, you also see somewhere else that the characters of Rave Masters are on an adventure on the island, because they believe they found something connected to their world on that island, to their story, which turns out not to be true. But then that's when we're introduced to the villain, because on the island there's this elderly man who's a master, and he has his apprentice. That's what I call it. This old man's in charge of the island, and he has the stone. But then he's killed by his apprentice, who steals the power for himself and uses it however he wants, causing mayhem on the island. With this mayhem, soon all the characters are coming together, and you're seeing them all interact in unique ways. You see some characters getting along, you see other characters not getting along. There's actually some other funny moments that are pretty entertaining. but I don't want to get too much into it because some of the jokes are just like hard to explain or may not be good to explain. But all in all, trouble brews on the island, and all these characters have to come together to defeat the evil. And that's when you learn that the elderly man on the island, he was actually a god of creation, and it turns and he was the one who created the three worlds. He created the world of Rave Master. He created the world of Fairy Tale. He created the world of Eden Zero. He created them. So that's how they were able to converge on this island, no problem. Towards the end of the story, that's when they defeat the evil, and they all go their separate ways to their own worlds, thinking like everything's fine. But then at the end, there's a little bit of a funny a twist, because while they got the god made a little bit of a mistake while he was teleporting everyone to their worlds. But so that's how it ends. Did they resolve it? Who knows? All in all, that's an interesting little funny element to include in this story. Now, like I said, this year this year's a crossover with 3 franchises by Hiro Mashima. As you can see on the cover, you see all 3 main characters from his franchises posing together in these cool action poses. But if you look on the back, there's this cool wide portrait of all the characters in the story, just all gathered together. It even gives you an explanation. It says, the ultimate crossover, Fairy Tale, Rave Master, and Eden Zero collide in a manga legend Hiro Mashima explosive victory lap. The Fairy Tale Guild are on vacation on True Island, where all the secrets of the world are said to reside. When Natsu gets drawn into the jungle by the scent of a delicious fruit, there he encounters Shiki, who after the same sweet smell, will they become friends or rivals? How many other familiar characters will join the party? 3 Hiro Mashima classics come together for the first time. Yep, that's what it says on the back. All in all, it is a good read, and it's a fun little manga to have if you're a fan of Hiro Mashima's work. And like I said, I believe that a manga like this should be animated. A one-time crossover like this can really, bring a lot of attention to the author, who deserves it, like his characters to be brought to life. And speaking of Hiro Mashima's creations, I feel like that maybe, in my opinion, maybe they should reconsider doing a modern adaptation of the Rave Masters franchise, because I feel like that's a franchise that a lot of people don't really talk about nowadays. Sure, people can talk about it, but not a lot of people. But the majority of the people that talk about it is small compared to those who talk about Fairy Tale or Eden Zero. And I feel like his Eden Zero franchise also deserves more, cause to my knowledge, not many episodes of his animated series, the animated Eden Zero have come out yet. But I know that there's more story to tell. But yet, for some reason, it seems to have stopped for a while. But that's to my knowledge. I haven't been able to keep up with it. But getting back on subject, this here is a fun crossover, and I hope I can find other interesting crossover mangas like this not just by the author, but maybe by different manga companies and different authors. Yeah, like like I think Shonen Jump might have some. I think Viz Media themselves might have some. Who knows? Uh, yeah, but crossover franchises, in my opinion, are interesting to watch, to read, to look at, because these crossover franchises bring all these different characters together. But that's what I think. That's my opinion. It'd be best to let you, take your time, look at it, make your own opinions, and just enjoy. If these are your type of franchises. Well, anyway, thank you for watching. Like this video if it interested you. Subscribe to the channel for future content, not just from me, but from many of our other associates. Yeah. Share this video if you know anyone who might be interested in it. And this is it. And hopefully, if you subscribe, maybe you can be notified when we upload our next video. Our next video, we're considering taking this on the road, going to a local Barnes and Nobles, so we can talk about the mangas that we don't own but we do read. Anyway, thank you. Have a good day, and see you later.